We're checking into Psyck.
Psyck.
Yo, check it out. It's a sick discussion.
You tuned in to Sick Discussions. You are now listening to a Sick Discussion.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of Sick Discussion. And as always, it's your boy, Reggie So Dope.
You got your guy Devin.
Whispering today.
The Whisper.
What's up, y'all? This Marv.
And you already know it's Sam Dink IV.
Okay.
The whispers in the dark.
Okay.
We got another super dope episode for y'all today. Today we're gonna talk about toxic masculinity. Because I'm sick of seeing the hashtag. I'm sick of just seeing everything is toxic. You toxic.
I'm definitely
the dog
sick of
is
it.
toxic.
Right.
This pool is
dog
toxic.
is toxic.
Like, I'm sick of it. So we're gonna talk about it.
Feels like it's an attack.
No, for real, for real.
Right.
So
Yeah.
to dig into it, what the fuck does it even mean to be toxic?
Oh, you want me to take it?
Go ahead.
I think so. I think it has everything to do with being abusive, unsupportive, or like unhealthy emotionally.
Or did
Basic-
you steal the fucking definition?
Is that what the damn
Word for word. No, do your shit. Go crazy.
Nah,
Go
I just
crazy.
feel like that's what it like to be abused, to like basically not be uplifting, to be down, to be like playing down or downplaying, or like just basically beating up on someone else.
Okay.
Yeah. Brings you down more than up.
I would say, well, I agree with Sam. Another
Okay.
flip to it.
Relax.
World premiere. I wish we would have recorded what led to this conversation.
Right.
My
We had a
God.
little disagreement earlier, but it's all good.
Scratch.
It's all good. It's all good.
What the fuck, Kanye?
What in the fuck was that?
All right.
Go
But
ahead.
anywho, to be toxic, I think it is to be emotionally and like physically damaging to another person. Healthy relationships usually focus on like contributing to a person's like self-esteem and emotional energy, and a toxic relationship is more of damaging to self-esteem and drains the person's energy.
Y'all snapping.
They get this shit right on there.
Right. You want to add
I'll
to
be
that?
talking
at
just to
all?
talk.
Right.
Back to you, Marv.
Right.
I mean, just you at this point,
I mean, y'all.
No need.
if you're just gonna be, I concur.
And I hate to piggyback.
Go ahead,
you know
Reggie.
what I mean?
Drop the definition.
Y'all really just snapped. Y'all are
did.
pretty spot on. So I got this definition from the greatteaslike.com. And there is an author, therapist, and survivor by the name of Shannon Thomas who gave a definition of toxicity. And she said, a toxic person is anyone who is abusive, unsupportive, or unhealthy emotionally. Someone who basically brings you down more than up. So that's why I'm like, y'all just snap, because y'all that's exactly that. You know you've encountered a toxic person when you become fully dependent on their opinions and presence. They look like everyone else, talk like everyone else, and can even be disguised as your best friend, family member, or partner. Toxic people are master manipulators, skilled liars, and great actors. They can be hiding everywhere.
Yikes.
Looks around table.
Snaps.
Which one of you motherfuckers?
Snaps.
Damn, yeah.
Snaps. So
Sound like
that's what we
hella-
got for the definition of toxic. And so now I ask y'all, like, why is this term so relevant now?
Take it away, Marv.
Right. Go ahead. Drop that knowledge.
I think it's just so relevant because of the world we live in today. Like, we have multiple people that's identify in different like groups, like people in the LGBT community, women, they're fighting for like more equality. I feel like it's actually being heard now, especially like over the past few years. Like, there's been a big push for it.
Yeah.
And with, like we said, men being held so high on the pedestal in society, like sometimes when, and I think we all benefit from male privilege, whether we realize it or not. And since these equalities are being fought for now, sometimes when you are privileged, like when other people, there are minorities are lower than you or inferior, when they're fighting for equalities, that can feel like oppression sometimes to the group that's privileged. So I think it's just so relevant now because like it's just like a big push for it. like other communities are actually fighting for that equality. It's being seen and felt a little bit more than it used to.
Yeah, no, I super agree with that. I was just gonna tag on like just the idea of mental health, right? The push for that, because it's a widespread acknowledgement of it now. And so in that, you have to release your demons within yourself, or release the people who cause those demons, which can be that toxic behavior that they exude onto you. And then another thing I wanted to just drop, I concur with everything you say, G. You literally hit the nail on the head. But I think also the push for men to be more vocal and open, right? Just because I think that was one of the categories that wasn't touched on, and it was just like, okay, now you see all these posts on social media, like, okay, cool, it's okay for like people telling men, it's okay for men to cry, it's okay for men to express themselves, it's okay for men to like express some sort of weakness, right?
Right.
So yeah.
Okay.
Decent.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like it's so relevant now because we're finally learning how to use the internet correctly. Right? We're learning how to use the internet to share knowledge. And it's a gift and a curse. Because one, we finally have a name. Two, what we've experienced, like what we've seen, what we've witnessed and all that. But it's also detrimental because sometimes we just overuse stuff, man. And like with mental health being so important, and you got all these resources out there on the internet about mental health and how to deal with toxic people and all this other stuff, people are like faking like they've gone to therapy and just like using the shit that they see on the internet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like that makes me question if toxicity, if it actually exists or if it's just like a part of growing up. Right, like, because you can make mistakes as a part of growing up, but does that mean you toxic? Like, is toxicity a real thing, or is that just a part of like growing up?
I feel like it does exist, definitely, and it's also a part of growing up as well. Because if someone's raised in a toxic environment, then they necessarily won't know that it's toxic until they like experience something that's not toxic. Minus the fact of like physical toxic stuff, like mental toxic behavior from like a parent or like a grandparent can happen like all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes people don't even realize that's happening.
Yeah, because that's your norm.
Physical too, though, like that abuse, like laying hands on people, that shit is toxic.
Yeah, because then some people might be like, this is a normal everyday behavior, and
right.
That's how that cycle repeats itself.
Right, that's how they grow up. That's how they believe. That's what they think. But I mean, yeah, I'ma just agree, but I'ma probably lean towards the toxic exists. Like toxicity exists. Like it's there. It's prevalent. It's not slowing down. It doesn't seem like. I mean, I don't see it. I just have seen so many. You know, with the Me Too movement, with just people more being more outspoken against the trauma that they have experienced and they will no longer stand for. Boom, like you see it every day continue.
Yeah,
so
it's
it just
definitely a part of like today's society.
Right.
Everybody, one person speaks up, the next person feel like it's okay. I can speak up too.
Right. Yeah.
Man, that's really interesting to me. To be completely honest, I have this thought that's flowing through my mind where you're right. Being toxic does exist, and I feel like toxicity is in the eye of like the individual. Right, you determine like, yo, was that toxic to me? Like, are there guidelines to toxicity? Because if not, right, if you could choose what's toxic to you, then should cancel culture be so strongly attached to toxicity?
Well, I think that's just mentally and emotionally. Physically, it's like clearly, okay, you just got the shit smacked out of you, and you a woman and that's a man, or you know what I'm saying, or like vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
Unless y'all kinky and you into that. Not to be devil's advocate,
we talking in a specific sense though. We're talking about I'm in public.
Okay.
We're talking about I turned at your ass because we in public and you said some shit I didn't like.
Right.
That's clearly like physical toxicity.
Okay.
But like, okay, in your point where it's like, okay, cool, like this has to be something that is what do we say, in perspective or just in the eye of the being abusee, right? Yeah, I mean, it depends on how sensitive you are, how thick-skinned you are, if that's in your perspective, right? Like, but I think there are situations where people get controlled and they don't even realize that they're experiencing toxic behavior from a partner, right? And someone else can come out and be like, yo,
oh hell no, cuz.
like, bro, do you not realize do you not realize what's happening right now to you? Like,
What we not gonna do.
right, exactly.
All you need is one
What
gun
you're not
with
about to
those.
do is blank my cousin like that, because
Yeah.
I'm gonna set you straight. She might not, but I'm gonna let you know. You do that shit again in my face, it's a wrap.
It's over with, right?
Boundary set.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah,
see
you
what
got
y'all saying.
you got something to tag on to
I feel
that?
like it's just a part of growing up. Like your experiences determine like kind of what you see as toxic. Like you said, I guess if you defending your cousin in the scenario Sam just said, like they may not view it as toxic, but like they may accept that behavior for some odd reason. I don't feel it's just passive, like that's a personality trait. They like just passive for a certain reason. I feel like when something's clearly like toxic and someone kind of backs off of stepping up to it, like is something shaped their mindset to be accepting of that behavior. So I do definitely feel like it plays a part of like your upbringing, your experience.
That definitely then travels into the like mental development of youth and how they need to just, you got to be careful of where, you know what I'm saying, or careful of like how you raise a child. Yeah. But
True.
yeah,
I
to
agree.
instill those beliefs and all that stuff, you know, it's quite the responsibility, and it should not be taken toxically.
I was not
I like
expecting
that you said that. Like it depends on how you're raised, right? And
Yeah.
so like, are men toxic in general? Like, are men raised to be toxic? Now that let's get into toxic masculinity, right? Like,
Okay.
Are men? How are men toxic in general?
Yeah.
Okay, bet. I'm gonna take this because I'm gonna just
that.
disclaimer.
Tell us, Sam.
Disclaimer: we was having a whole conversation prior to recording. However, I just felt like it's impossible to talk about toxic masculinity until you define what masculinity is, and it seemed like it was difficult to come with an expression of masculinity. And I just want this to go on tape that it's not the what a man is, right? It's the masculine energy that resides within both feminine or females and males, right? And so I believe that masculine energy is mission, to have like a mission, to be purposeful, or to have a purpose, to have drive, tasks, to be a doer, and to just provide, right? I see that as masculine energy. And then in my opinion, to turn it back to your question, I think when it turns toxic is the insecurities that reside within themselves or in the man, right? Or the person with that masculine energy, when they find out they can no longer provide, or they no longer have mission or purpose because someone else is doing those things. So now they need to come up with another purpose, and that purpose then becomes being a thorn in your side, or keeping you down because I need to feel like I'm the provider, like I'm the person that's doing all this. You wouldn't have that job if it wasn't for me. I put you through XYZ school when really it was your drug money and you got arrested, and that shit was wrong in the first place morally. Whatever the case is, whatever the case is. I'm just saying, like motherfuckers gonna gaslight into the bringing you down, right, and not uplifting you. Like we see a lot today. I don't want to keep talking, but just like women are getting better jobs now. Women are getting better jobs now. Women are making more. I mean, even though we still have this privilege as men, right? We see one of the most educated, or one of the best, or in my opinion, the best and most educated first ladies is a black woman. Michelle Obama, she got 2 degrees from Ivy League. You know what I'm saying? So you think if she didn't, let's just say by chance she didn't marry Barack and she married someone who didn't have 2 degrees from an Ivy League and she was making more and he felt insecure because of that, you know what I'm saying? He might try and, but that's just a scenario.
Okay, Sam, in his Birkin bag. You know what I'm saying? But men and people in general could be toxic in a couple different ways. Like you got the control freak toxic person, the overreactor toxic person, you got the over-dependent toxic person, the bad temper, that's when it hit you toxic person, the belittle toxic person.
Right.
It can go in so many different ways that it's just like, it's a pretty big like topic.
True. Kind of going. Okay, answer your question. Are men just toxic in general? I honestly feel like it all boils down to like like you said, kind of the definition that society has set up already. Like we didn't really control like what it means to look like a man. Like I said, that energy, masculine energy and feminine energy resides in both, but it's expected through like gender roles for men to look a certain way. And honestly, a story comes in mind, like from when I was in college. So I was in class one day, and I had got a gift from the person I was seeing at the time, like for a massage. But when I went to the spa, they wasn't giving out massages, so I just got a manicure and a pedicure instead. So one of my classmates I was cool with, she made a comment like, "Oh, your nails are clean. Like, do you get them done?" So I was like, I went to the place to get them done. It was a gift for me. So she like kind of like made like a little stick remark, and I could tell like she was laughing like.
Right.
Like what kind of men get their nails done?
Yeah.
But like me at the time, I was like kind of rubbed the wrong way. Like, like I did feel a little weird. Like, damn, she think I'm flimsy.
Right.
Like,
Think
Like, am I supposed to have dirt in my nails?
Exactly. But that's not how men are perceived to be. Like to do things, like to be well groomed. Like it has a certain image to it.
Right.
You know, so I feel like even when men are generally, I guess, toxic in a way, like the gender roles kind of set that mindset for men and women, because she reinforced it too. Like, Like you're not supposed to be doing like what kind of man? Which is kind of changing now. At the time,
but it is, but at the same time it isn't. And I feel like that's a whole nother conversation that we can dive into, where like there are some women who have this perspective of this masculine energy that they don't rock with that man if he doesn't exude that. And really, I don't even think that's the, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even think that's the prime
toxic femininity. And we'll get into that.
That's why I say
so many topics.
We got some guests.
How long we got?
Another conversation.
Femininity exists.
Right.
But we talking about men right now.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And like, I think men become toxic, right, when our expectations no longer match up with reality. Right? Because when your expectations don't match up with reality, you develop a problem. And I think that's where our toxicity exists, when we have a certain way that we want it to man. Like a certain way we wanted to be man, right? When the world is like, nah, nigga, you ain't got that bag you thought you was gonna have. You don't got that car. You still in the ghetto. Yeah, that was a roach. Yeah, When reality though is like, no, this is not what's it. But because your ego lives in your expectation. And so when you keep getting hit with reality and that your expectations ain't matching up, that ego then starts to create toxicity. Because you gotta at least still feel the way you want it to feel, even though you don't have the shit that back that.
Right.
Insecurities at its finest.
Insecurities. That's why I said, it's toxic expressions of masculinity, and when you don't have that structure, you fall, and you fall to the demons, which can be defined as toxic masculinity.
I just love this demons thing.
Yo. That shit is not. It's nothing. Like, it's nothing positive. It's nothing positive.
So much on demons. I saw this post talking about, bro, you not fighting demons. You just broken like boys. Keep moving. I was like, yikes! Like, what is this demon thing we talk about? But no, demons do exist, y'all. For real.
Definitely.
Spiritual warfare. Get into
it.
So we're gonna switch gears a bit, and I mean we're gonna completely switch.
Yeah.
Because right now we're talking real general. And so
are you trying to get into it?
In tune with
you
self.
Trying to be like, okay, how are you?
What are our personal toxic traits? Like, how are y'all toxic niggas?
We ain't. This is a sick discussion. None of us are toxic. We're perfect.
Type shit.
For real, because everybody's story, right? Somebody's story you're gonna be a hero. Somebody's story you're gonna be a villain. And so like, we toxic to somebody.
Right.
Like real talk. And so my question is, what are our personal toxic traits? If you have identified them.
Take it away, Dev.
Back to you, Ollie.
It's gonna rain.
Right.
Personally, one thing that I tried to think of something. I came up with when my mind's like made up about something, then it's like made up about it, and it's not really anything you could do to like change my mind. Besides me changing it myself.
Right.
I mean, it's a good trait to have in some instances, but other instances it's not so good to have because somebody's telling me something and I'm like, no, that's not the right thing to like do or like say, but it's like, it's about perspective almost.
Right, at the end of the day. And I would definitely say probably something, it's similar. I probably have a lot of stubbornness in me type shit, you know what I'm saying? But like literally I'm a logistical thinker. So in my mind I've already put 1 + 1 × 3 divided by 7 together, and I've come up with the answer.
Equation.
You feel me? Like PEMDAS and shit. You feel me?
Decimal,
Yes, it is. And I came up with the damn decibel. You feel me? So like, so yeah, I would say that, you know, my stubbornness, and also like I might overdo my drive or like my willingness to like succeed, right? As opposed to like, so like instead of like hanging out with my people or like having fun, or like someone wants to hang, you know, have quality time or whatever the case is, like I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put work ahead of this type shit, or like I'm gonna try and figure out a way to work and do this shit, and it ends up clashing.
Right.
Yeah.
Marv?
Right.
I was gonna say, he had nodded to me. I know. One of my toxic traits is, I hold grudges. I'm aware I hold grudges. I absolutely hold grudges. And please don't let me be in the right when I start to hold this grudge. Because we taking this shit to 2050. Like, if I know I'm in, because the thing about me is, like, when I'm wrong, I swear to y'all, I apologize.
Yeah.
Like, I apologize, so I apologize before you can even get mad for real. Like, yo, because I know when I'm wrong, you know what I mean? But, if I'm in the right,
Yeah.
okay, nigga,
Yeah.
see you when we're 80.
Exactly.
That's what we gonna do. That's what
I'm
I'm
gonna talk to you never.
Right, like, and I do understand, right, anxiety, and I understand mental health to the degree that sometimes people might want to acknowledge they're wrong, but they got anxiety.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or it's literally, there's something mentally happening to where they can't. And I know I'm aware that this happens.
Yeah.
But also, if we have not established your high anxiety in this relationship,
Type shit.
I'm holding my grudge and I'm not feeling bad about it. Like, you better write me a letter. Like, sorry, not sorry. Send
Right.
a messenger pigeon.
Messenger pigeon.
I gotta do this.
That's still not working?
No, it's working. It's just not picking up how I would like it to pick up.
Okay.
It's not picking up how I like it. No.
Okay, I was gonna say, let's keep
No.
All right. Can you hear me now? Okay, no. Okay.
You're
Murder, she
yeah.
wrote.
Yeah, I just had to fix you, man. I had to get you right.
Brotherhood. I love that. Because if I would have been faint, I would have held a grudge. Like,
Right.
I'm just letting you know, you're the tech guy. No, I'm kidding.
I'm dead.
But yeah, so that's my toxic trait. I got a strong fuck you, especially when I'm right.
Right. Me, I would say mine is just, I'm trying to work on it, guys. Just like the way I view
Spit
other
it out.
people's like feelings, I guess. So like kind of, I kind of maybe the opposite of Reggie said. Like I'm just so nonchalant about a lot of stuff. Like if I don't think it's that big of a deal, like I'll try to act like I care. But it's hard. It's like really hard. Like this is not that big of a deal. Like why are you tripping on this? But I realize I can't say stuff like that. Like I may do something to Reggie, and it may be like level 1 to me, but it's like 100 to him. And I'm looking at him like, bro,
Are you okay?
yeah, like I wasn't even thinking about this no more.
Soon as you ask,
you still tripping on this?
Right.
You still holding a grudge on this? I forgot about this.
I'm like,
Damn.
Okay,
Damn.
like, that's definitely not
I low key
cool,
do
though.
that shit
Like,
too.
Yeah,
I'd
that's
be like,
not that
damn,
bad.
you gotta let that shit go. But
Wow.
I mean,
This is the
okay,
grudge
though.
side
That's
of the
not-
table.
I mean,
We got
yeah.
grudges on this side.
Let it go. Glasses and
I didn't know. I didn't know we was thinking. I thought we was cool. Dude.
I thought shit was straight.
I thought we was
I mean,
straight.
shit, bro, that happened 3
You
weeks
beef with me,
ago.
you
Like,
gon' beef
Still thinking about
forever.
that?
you still tripping? Yeah. That's crazy.
That's dope. So it's not dope.
That's dope.
It's dope that you've acknowledged that that's your trait.
Right.
Self-awareness is key.
Right.
I feel like we're missing somebody's.
I mean, I don't want to just.
You said missing somebody.
Keep going.
Everybody acknowledge
Everybody hit
one.
Everybody hit at least
That's what
one.
you did. You piggybacked off his.
No, I didn't.
He broke something down.
I definitely
You just wasn't
did.
listening.
You wasn't.
What's in your cup? What's in your wallet?
Well, you didn't.
What's in
I
your
said,
wallet?
literally, I started this shit off, didn't I?
Nah.
Or did that? No, Dev started this shit off because I was like, oh, that.
It was
Similar to yours, Dev.
Yeah. But I also had two though. But I had two.
Y'all not gonna do something
I had two.
Hey,
Hey,
he spoke.
see, we can disagree and agree. That's what I'm talking about.
We might beef before the pod.
Right.
But we good now.
But we good. That's what I'm talking about.
Right.
We ain't holding on to
Hey,
shit.
y'all silly.
We ain't holding on to that shit.
Y'all silly.
Oh my God. Yeah. So moving right
we gonna take- we
along.
gonna
So
take-
how are you dealing with your grudges, Reggie?
How am I dealing with my
Yeah, we about to talk about how we
grudges?
dealing with shit.
Great. That is a great question.
Yeah.
So, and I keep thinking about that because one, am I dealing with these grudges? Right? So I know exactly how I'm dealing.
That's a no.
No. I am. You just I'm just at a point in my life where I need people who can acknowledge wrong. You know what I mean? So if you can give me the most half-assed apology. If you just give me a little bit, I'll take us the rest of the way.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's mature of you.
Yeah, I give second chances. Who the fuck am I to not believe in second chances?
Right.
I have not lived the life to not believe in second chances. I believe in third, fourth. Now fifth is all right, bro.
Right. You're doing a little much.
But for real, man, I believe in retribution. I believe that people can right wrongs, and so you got to give me a little bit though.
Yeah.
So, because for you to just not do nothing, and I'm just
Right.
oh my God, please let's be friends again. It's
Type
nah,
shit.
G, you didn't grow, you didn't do shit, so
I'm
you
not-
ain't got shit for me.
I'm not about to be Issa.
Nah, dead ass. I've been watching.
In season 4.
But yeah, so I think that's how I'm dealing with it. I do, because I'm such a hard ass on grudges and stuff like that. I believe in second chances. You got to initiate.
Right. Okay. That works. I mean,
How are y'all dealing with y'all toxicity? It's threw me under the bus.
Right. Shit, my stubbornness. I be trying to be more open-minded, just to know that I'm not always right. Maybe my math got switched up a little. Maybe in
That
my
number was
logic.
on.
Maybe in my logic.
Fraction.
Right. I got switched up a little bit. And then maybe also being a little bit, just to bounce off your shit. Well, actually, I'll let you take your shit. I've shared my shit.
Appreciate that.
But I'll bounce off of it after you take it. Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll take it now then.
Yeah, go crazy.
The way I'm working on mine is it's honestly just all on me. Like I said, I'm real inconsiderate at time of others' feelings, and that's clearly just not okay at all at any point in time. I don't care what the reason is. It's
Right.
not really okay to be inconsiderate. So honestly, it may sound kind of corny, but even though a lot of stuff don't really move me, I do try to at least put myself in another person's shoes. Maybe I don't really see it this way, but let me just at least take a second to
Right.
realize okay, maybe I said this wrong. I came off this way. I didn't really mean it. I
Right.
do a lot of stuff I probably don't view wrong, but somebody else can take it a completely different way, and I didn't mean it that way. So just a lot of self-reflection.
Yeah.
And realizing I should put myself in another person's shoes. Dude, it may not be a big deal to you, but honestly think about how somebody else may be affected by the things you do.
Facts.
Y'all took all the good answers.
I mean, your answer is your answer. Your
Yeah,
answer
answer
is
first. It's definitely, like Marv said, there's a lot of reflection that has to go into realizing that you're actually being toxic. And even if you don't think you're toxic, it'll be the first important step is realizing that if someone addresses you and tell you that I feel like you're not being toxic, well, if they feel a way about something you did or say, you just have to look at it through their eyes instead of just thinking that you're right about the situation. Even if you are right, but at least try to see it through their perspective.
Right.
just to
Go ahead.
now
Go
let me
ahead.
get my 2 cents
Go
on
ahead,
that part.
piggyback.
I got it out.
Not even piggyback.
A whole
Just-
new point.
Right. I'm
No
just
swine, nigga, no swine.
no swine. You know what I'm saying? Damn near Muslim, but not. However, I've just learned that you can't invalidate someone else's feelings.
True. That's facts.
And so then I try to not only validate them, but figure out how I can fix the wrong that I may have done. You know what I'm saying? Like on some, okay, cool. How can we, even though it is like, okay, cool. How can we move past this right now? I get it.
That's definitely still toxic.
Get it. But it's just like, okay, cool. Like, yes, my bad. Like you definitely feel that way, and I understand that you feel that way. So we can't be like, okay, you still holding on to that? It's like, all right, cool. Now, how can we, where can I not overstep my boundaries?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I think it becomes toxic when it's like, well, let me fix it.
Right.
Like, it's not about you no more.
Right,
Granted, you don't messed up, but it's not about you. And I think that's the line as men. We need to learn not to cross. Like, yes, we were taught to be the heroes, the fixers, the providers, but that's all the shit that made us toxic. Whoa. So it's like you have to remove yourself from being the fixer, and like, not to say you can't be, just have permission to in that space to just say, I'm gonna jump right into it because this is just what I do. That's toxic masculinity. Yeah. So it's like you have to ask, are you okay with me doing this? Like, it's cool. You got it. You want me to take it? Like, you literally have to ask.
Oh, that
and
feels
that
like so
is
much.
So, it seems like so much.
Oh my God.
But in order to not be toxic, you have to have that permission.
That
shit's right. Let me fix that shit.
Because that is what men has done for the beginning of time. It's like, nah, fuck it. I'm going to fix it. And even if you can do it, I know, but I can do it faster. I got it. I'm going to make it easier for you. But like,
ask you
gotta
if it's
have
okay
permission.
if I...
In order to not be toxic, I'm almost certain, and somebody in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to be given consent to be able to move the way, like to do the things that you want to do, especially with other people.
Drop them comments.
Right, you have to have permission to talk to people a certain way. Like, you have to have permission to like do things like, I'll wait till we get into love languages when we talk about gifts. You know what I mean? Because if you giving gifts to a person who don't take to that, well, you toxic as hell. Like, you're not just gonna buy me. Like, oh, I can't wait. So yeah. That.
I think I'm cheap.
Right.
Toxicity.
Ooh,
I can buy my own shit.
In its finest.
Okay, so let's take this thing home then. This has been a fire conversation, and I'm learning a lot from y'all, and so like, what if I am new to this whole
to being toxic
reflection of understanding that I might be toxic, right? So like, what advice?
Damn, I just might.
Right, because somebody might have been like, oh shit, I guess I am toxic. This could have been revolutionary for somebody. Right. So what advice do y'all have for men that no longer want to be toxic? Or what advice do you have for people dealing with toxic men in their lives?
So I can answer both.
Either or both of them. Do what you gonna do.
I'll address the first part first.
Take both of them shit.
Some advice will be that it's not like a magic fix button to fix being toxic. Like, it has to be like addressed and brought front and center for you to be able to like fix something. Like, if you don't know you're being toxic, then how could you fix it? But once it's addressed, you got to take those steps to try not to be toxic. It's just as simple as that.
Okay. So, are we going to go around the room on the first one and then come back for the second one?
I definitely thought you was going to.
Just do both of them. Go ahead. Give us the daily
and
double.
if you're dealing with a toxic person.
I got this, y'all.
Look, if you're toxic, hit me up.
Let's roll, friends.
If you're dealing with somebody toxic, hit me up.
We can handle it easy.
Right.
Let's roll, friends.
If you're dealing with a toxic person and it's like brought up and no effort is really being made to change that toxic behavior that you're trying to address, it just might be easier to like just leave that person alone and be done with them, because hey, that's life, to be done with people sometimes. And if they belong in your life, they will come back once they learn the right thing to
teach
do
them a lesson
or say.
Once the growth has happened, absolutely.
Teach her ass
and hopefully it's not too late.
There's a such thing as too late.
Right.
Absolutely.
For all you toxic men out there, toxic women out there dealing with, men out there dealing with toxic women.
Toxic people dealing with toxic
exactly.
people.
Like, yeah, I agree with that. I'm gonna jump on the first one though. The question was,
Jump. How you go jump on it?
Right. Okay. Cool. Advice for men that no longer want to be toxic, right?
Yes.
If someone tells you about yourself, believe them. Perspective is a motherfucker. Perspective, if literally, I think someone great said this on some, if you, like you guys, I'm jealous of you guys because you guys can watch me perform or some shit like that, right? But it's like, if you could just take a step outside of you while you're still being you and just view you how other people do, wow. The benefits of that shit. You feel me? Like the benefit. Wow. That, yes, exactly. The
Sam
benefits
love a good
of
mic
that
drop.
shit. You feel me? Oh, I should have echoed myself.
No.
Wow.
Please don't.
And that's the Sam Showcase for today.
And you're canceled.
Okay.
So,
Niggas
Marv,
you're
would you like to
toxic.
answer the
So
question?
you said you
or
got to
what?
look outside of yourself and
Yeah, no,
truly
that's important.
believe
Definitely.
people's
If you could
reflection. I love that.
imagine if you could like literally just watch yourself interact with people every day and see how they see you. You know what I'm saying?
No, bro, he feeling this.
Bro. Woo. Wow.
Right there. You know he
These lucid dreams.
is. Okay, you know he dropping
See me,
gems.
see you, seeing you, see me.
Exactly.
Y'all funny.
Hotel.
Oh my God. I love what y'all said though. Be open-minded, all that. Humble yourself. Always be willing to be teachable. But I honestly say just question the things that you do. Like, why are you doing it? I feel like it's not really what you do sometimes, but it's why you do it that makes you who you are. So you may be, like you said, you may have a toxic trait from a childhood, but you still doing it, but you don't really know why you're doing these things. So really take a second to think like, okay, I'm acting this way, like, but why am I doing this? Because it may be rooted in something completely different. Like you may picked it up a long time ago and you didn't really realize it. So definitely really take a step back and just question like, why am I doing the things that I'm truly doing? Because it might be coming from somewhere that you might be coming from some pain yourself. You need to work through. Honestly.
Ooh, now we potting.
Now we
Okay. You got any advice for people dealing with toxic men in their lives?
Ooh.
Or you wanna?
Ooh,
get.
yeah, give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I might need some
I'll
advice for
go.
myself.
Come on, what's your advice, Reggie?
I'll go. So as far as a man that no longer wants to be toxic, you have to identify your toxic traits. It's best to do that by asking people who you spend a lot of time with, like asking them like, all right, dude, like how am I kind of fucked up? Because sometimes you can't see outside of yourself without that insight. Like somebody has to make you a little bit more hip to how you are potentially toxic.
Right.
So ask the people who you love and who you know love you back. Like ask them and really start to reflect on those things. If you are completely struggling to identify your toxic traits, or if there's nobody in your life who can tell you your toxic traits, chances are you're one of the most toxic people in the world, and you probably need to start to go to therapy. For real, like if you just like, oh, I can't see nothing wrong with me, and you have nobody in your life that can tell you like, nah, this is kind of jacked up, you are more fucked than you think.
Right.
So like immediately, please go to therapy. And then advice for people dealing with toxic men in their lives. Oh man.
Fuck them. Let me stop. Fuck them all.
No, honestly, you have to realize when enough is enough. And if you are just no longer comfortable with how they do things, even if it has nothing to do with you, right? Because they could just tell you how they do other people, and that can trigger you too. You have to open up the doors to that conversation. Like, if we're gonna remain friends, we're gonna remain cool. Like, there's some things that you do, or that you've even told me that you do, that I'm not okay with, because that's accountability.
Yeah.
And if you can't have that conversation with them, if you feel like, well, they ain't do it to me, so I'm overstepping, then that's not a real relationship.
Nope.
Like, real talk. So try to address those things that you're just not okay with. And if they try to curse your ass out, or if they
Snip,
become
snip,
dismissive, then the decision has already been made. Straight up.
Okay, bye.
Straight like that.
Facts.
I'll talk to you never.
Yeah. Sounds like we gotta.
Yeah, I love what y'all say.
Yeah.
honestly.
Sound like y'all done wrapped it up.
All right,
So,
I just
I'll wrap it up
What's
then.
the thing?
Leave space.
What you be saying at the end of all this shit?
Oh
Drop
yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, first
forgot?
we gotta thank the people for listening.
Oh, well then, I mean, yeah.
Sam, like, wrap it up.
I gotta go. No, I gotta play.
Sam just want to throw an
appreciate
echo
y'all.
on this shit.
I definitely just want to throw my life.
So we appreciate y'all so much for tuning in. We
Yeah.
hope you've learned something from this very dope dialogue.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Alright.
Sorry, it's on my brain. But as always,
Switched it
man,
up.
as we see that the world is sick, but good conversation is the cure.
It's sick.